All right, hey friends, Coder Dan here, kicking off the stage. Already got some hands going up. Good morning, guys. Uh, hey, Addison.
What's good? Got your gang. How you doing, Cutter?
Doing well, man. How about you?
I'm doing pretty well. Been pretty busy this past week, but it's been a good busy. Been doing a lot of good, fun, exciting stuff.
Nice, nice. You're not at East Denver, right? Is anyone here in
Nah,
East Denver?
I wish. I was supposed to move out to like Colorado a couple months ago, but didn't end up happening. But I'm moving out to San Diego in like 2 weeks, so I'm like
Oh,
packing up and getting ready to move all the way across the country. So.
groovy. San Diego's nice. Been there a couple times.
Oh yeah, the beaches are there, so nice. There's so much like outdoor
Yeah.
stuff to do, the mountains, and LA's not too far away. But like you're not like in the cesspool of LA,
Yeah, for sure.
so that should be fun. How's your day been going? What have you been up to?
Good. Yeah, I was actually traveling to the city the last couple days. Now I'm back in my little spot, so had to go do some. Had to get a dental appointment, do that, and now I'm back. So
Nice.
always, but on Discord a lot, and getting a lot of stuff done. It's been a productive couple days, despite the life stuff.
Yeah, I mean we had the stress test. That was a huge feat. That was amazing.
Yeah, yeah, that was super fun.
It's great to see the
Yeah.
full scale of the district.
They're so big, aren't they? Yeah, they're
Yeah,
wild.
this thing's gonna be massive. I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think. I'm still having a hard time grasping the scale of this. Like, how long is it going to take me to walk to like the Keck pools and stuff? Like,
Yeah, we're gonna have to have like a public transit system, a little like magic carpet flying around or something so people can jump on it and it'll speed across. It's
yeah,
big. Or like, traveling between districts or going from the Citadel out into like an outlying place in the grid. It's definitely there's gonna be definitely a need for some transportation infrastructure.
yeah. So there's some examples that actually Hefe was mentioning this on their podcast District 420 last night. That like in RuneScape, for example, like that's such a big world. A couple ways that they did the transportation. One was called like fairy rings that you had to like you could only use from achieving like a certain quest and having
Mhm.
like being able to use those to access and like go around. And then you could also teleport by increasing your magic level, and depending on like like the location, like you'd have to be a certain level and you'd have to spend like runes to teleport to that location. If there maybe there's like some kind of similar in the terms of like there's certain spots that are only accessible through a certain quest or using a certain item, or
Yeah.
you could teleport to certain key locations if you spend like a little bit of a combination of alchemica, or I don't know. Just I'm trying to think of like one to one of like what other bigger metaverse
Mhm.
games like RuneScape, which has been one of the most popular and trailblazing MMORPGs in my opinion.
Definitely.
Yeah, those are just
Yeah.
a couple suggestions.
It's always good to
Maybe
have
it's good to look into
those
that.
kind of like those kind of recurring sinks where people are using them. They're not a lot, but they add up to a lot like over time, and they're really healthy for the economy.
Yeah,
But yeah, we've been thinking a lot. I know the community is kind of all we're having like an async brainstorm all the time. It's really cool watching it.
nice. Yeah, there's been a lot of great ideas. It has been floating around. I know it's like there's so many great ideas, but like, do we have enough dev bandwidth to implement it all in the time frame that to get everything out? So it's like priorities, right? So
Yeah, like it's a. I mean, we see like if you look at Axie, they've been out for 4 years and they still there's so many things they haven't done, but
right.
it's just kind of a constant roadmap, right? You got to have things to work towards.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
it's not
Hey,
they
hey.
might not be there on day one, but they can be there on day 95 or something. They can be implemented a little bit later, especially once the full Citadel opens, and especially once the grid opens, there's a lot of there'll be some time between those that we can build out a lot of the infrastructure that we'll need.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, if you just have people being like engaged during the lull period, and you're seeing that the team's doing stuff. This is something that Taproot was suggesting from like, or saying from like Smallverse, for example, for their land. It update Small Brains. It updates. They update the land with like art every couple of hours. So it's like they could be deving a lot, and then like they know that stuff's always being done. And then for like Aavegotchi, you guys have always like doing different events, and the stress tests have been amazing to show like your progress with the Gotchiverse. I mean, that's gotten me so excited, and just I think the one thing that you guys could improve upon is like during these lull periods, having a little bit more to do in terms of like user engagement. While like we still have like a dedicated core group, I think there's a group like that definitely like flips in and out of Ghost during like hype periods, which is why we're seeing these like big ups and downs with the price of Ghost. But because there's no kind of like engagement during like the lull, like downtime of like even if it's like a couple, like a 2 week period or a week period, like having like a mini game or some kind of event, or even like staking our land for something, or like something to do with the land, because then there's some like demand or some engagement with that, like petting with Aavegotchis. Like I think that just like being able to pet every 12 hours is like a huge engagement, because like, okay, I'm coming back either every 12 hours, or I mean, a lot of people are doing auto petters with the Gotchi Vault, but that simple engagement is like, okay, it's keeping people coming back and having something to do and think about while you guys are working on deving out new features.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's always that balance between we are still a fairly small team. I mean, relatively.
Mm-hmm.
So it's taken away, if we take like if we have too much time dedicated to like, kind of non-essentials, it does kind of take away. But I mean, we're literally going on all cylinders. Like it's crazy how much code we're shipping.
Oh yeah,
Getting like
small feet.
like the Nexus point, I feel like this month and next month there's so much code as far as just raw lines of code, like Solidity, front end, the Realm side. There's just so much code that's being shipped. It's what I wish there were more like mini games coming on from the community dev side that like could kind of help fill that lull. But I think as Dr. Webby said here, like the Gotchi lending is going to be really, really cool. That's an entire kind of new market that we're literally going to be opening up soon. It's kind of going to change the game in a lot of ways. It's really going to show, give people basically a free way to get into the game if they want and take a look around, which doesn't really exist. Doesn't really exist for very many NFTs out there. There's not a lot of NFTs that have that, like have lending at this point yet.
Oh yeah, no, that's a huge feat over, especially like Axie that's just doing the scholarship program. Like that's how this whole thing scales. Like for me personally, I've been talking to a couple people in the community about this, but I'm working with a couple people on setting up hubs in Ghana to rent out like computers. We got like we're starting with about 3 hubs, about 60 computers, to rent out like about 12 hours a day, 16 hours on like Saturdays, to people to rent out gotchis, actually. So I think like if we weren't gonna run it because the guy that I'm now working with is like didn't believe in Axie, but because of the lending program, it makes it really possible for especially in places that people are like, this infrastructure isn't like the easiest, and like bringing that to them like through this lending contract, it ends up not being as much like third party risk, in the sense of like, okay, here's your wallet address, you play, you get your percentage, we can get our percentage for connecting you, and then the person renting out can get their percentage, and that makes it really, really simple. And then we can obviously there's a lot of ways of like trying to figure out gauging like best community member, like best like players, and maximizing the output of players. But
Mhm.
I mean that's a good problem to have because of the innovation that you guys are coming up with. So I appreciate that, and I'm excited to see what we're able to do with this Ghana project. It's going to be called Bura, BURA.io. I'm going to be working on. They're working on the website right now, so they've been working on that like this for like 4 years. So it's now making the pivot to Aavegotchi. It's going to be very interesting. I'll keep you guys updated for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I've already talked to the Portal Mages and Bearded about a potential partnership for sourcing gotchas.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be huge, as well as like building up our own treasury and like starting to collect our own assets. I mean, I have a couple assets within like my own like smaller circle, but like obviously nowhere near as like much as the Gotchi Vault or Yannick or some of the bigger guilds out here. So partnerships are going to be key for sure.
Yeah, that Gotchi Vault's gonna be a busy place. Like once the Gotchi Lendings opens and the Gotchi Versus live, I can see 12-hour shift like cycling through all the Gotchis all the time. Basically, they're gonna have who do they partner with? Was it
CGU?
CGU?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then other players that will want to partner with them. That's super cool. Anyone else want to jump on here? Dr. Wagme, Dr. Wagme, you available here? You want to jump on? This is our first, second call, I guess, without No Futuristic. He wasn't able to make it last week, but he has passed the mantle of the hangout to someone else at this point. He's supposed to be doctoring, but yeah, we've been busy
before, but I don't know where they went.
Yeah. We've been just busy with a lot of various plans for just we're kind of hoping and planning that Alchemica are going to launch fairly soon, and so there's a lot of planning that goes into like it's a token launch, right? So it's a lot of planning that goes into this, and economy management is going to be really the key word for Aavegotchi, in the next year, because we don't want our economy to kind of spiral out of control like you've seen with Axie, where they don't have any, besides breeding, they really don't have any like sinks in their economy. It's pretty crazy. So that's kind of the hot word right now. Like, which we can do it. We have a cool opportunity here to really create and bootstrap this like new Web3 gotcha economy. Part of that obviously is giving tokens out, but the other part is finding unique and fun ways to get people to give their tokens back and like sink them back into the economy. So that's been we've been doing a lot of that work, and also just so much on the dev side, preparing these contracts, gotcha lending, the Alchemica, various vesting contracts, the GACs. It's not never ending. So it's going to be a fun couple months here as we work through all this and finally get to the launch of the Gotchiverse.
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting. Did anyone else want to come up and speak and hang out with us? Goobs, Moon, Brills.
I was going through my Discord list here. I saw
Friend list?
The WAGME guys were having a guild call. That's pretty neat. I saw this like super extensive spreadsheet about, or not a spreadsheet, like a PowerPoint about the guild strategy. It's super cool to see different like
So much that
guild.
goes into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to think this is a guild, and yeah, I mean, listen to a lot of what other people have done. It's gonna be interesting to see the models that people come up with, because it's not a one size all guilds are gonna be the same. Everyone's gonna have their niche. It's gonna be very interesting.
Yeah, that is going to be
Say the
really
least.
cool. I've been paying attention to a lot of the guilds, and it's really, yeah, everybody's doing different things and different types of community initiatives and content creation and revenue streams, and it's going to be really cool. Um, I've been trying to do a small guild within the Bankless DAO, and it's been
Oh.
slow going because we're kind of a gated community, but yeah, I've been trying to like talk to them about all the things I'm seeing. Actually, a lot of them aren't in other guilds, which is interesting. I'm like, why aren't y'all in guilds? What are y'all doing? Like, they all just
What
own
is
gotchis or land, and they're not doing anything.
what's like the primary value generation of Bankless DAO? Do they do like investment, or do they have like a DAO treasury?
There's a DAO treasury, and then there's a lot of community initiatives, and there's a lot of things that have spun out of it. And so there's a couple of different things that were done with Index Coop, like the bed
Hmm.
index, and there's a new one that's like a metaverse index.
Yeah, like MVI is it called?
I think that's it, yeah. And then, like, I'm involved with the AV Guild over there, so we're spinning out a podcast hatchery where we produce spin-off podcasts from the Bankless HQ.
Well, so we can have a gotchi presence there.
Yep, I'm
We're
working
getting all
on it.
sorts of podcasts. We have like how many podcasts do we have now? We got the Gotchi Brothers, the 420 District just launched, and what am I missing? There's probably others. We have all sorts of like it's super cool watching all the different Gotchi podcasts kind of crowding up.
Yeah, I'm sure
There's so
more
much
are
to
gonna
talk
pop up
about.
soon.
There's so much to talk about. There's like especially once
A
this
little
game
information overload
goes live.
sometimes, but sorry.
Yeah. No, I think if anyone cares to come up and talk about any of the issues that are open on the DAO here, let's just looking at the front page. We have valuing Gotchis Alchemica on day one. We have the trait mappings discussion. We have a weapon degradation or repair system. We got the arcade DAO. We got the general chapter 2 discussion. In-game Alchemica sync suggestions, a drip feed for Alchemica, and reducing the VRF variance for parcels.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. And that one thread that's just like so much on the different distribution of traits and classes and all that kind of stuff. I started to read through that, and I was just like, I just do not have the brain space to go through all of this at this moment. There's so much.
There's a great we have a thread too here in Discord. Anyone can join it and kind of keep up with the chat. If you go to the main chat and then just there's like a branch off for traits balance. And
Oh
for
gosh.
anyone on the call, we're also planning to have an open discussion tomorrow, same time as the hangout, with a lot of the guys who've been contributing to that discussion. And there's literally been like the equivalent of PhD, not PhD, but like master's thesis written about these traits by some of our community members.
Oh yeah,
Super
this has
fascinating.
been being done research on for years. So it's like,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, people pulling in all this stuff like that. So I mean, like seeing all this stuff, I was like, I trust you guys. You guys will figure it out. I'll focus on some other stuff. Like I want. It's so interesting. I want to dig into it. I wish I had the mental capacity and bandwidth at this moment to dive into
Yeah.
it. It's so interesting. It's so complex. And it's so important to the overall like balance and enjoyability of the game. So it's like, geez, like I trust you guys to get it right. I want to get involved, but like, there's so much to catch up on at this point.
Yeah, I mean this is why I
The
like.
Futuristic's video though is a really good starting point explanation though with the
Oh yeah.
the guy who wrote the article,
Mhm.
or like the big article. Shit, well, I'm blanking on the name.
Looking handsome, I think,
Yeah,
right?
looking handsome. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like this is we really are embracing and want to continue embracing the idea that this is a community game. So we put our thoughts out about the potential and kind of lay a framework. But at the end of the day, we do have some time and really relish this community discussion that's happening about all these different aspects of the game because I think this is how we can turn this kind of uh, I mean, everyone looks at Aavegotchi kind of as a dark horse at this point. Like
See,
they've heard about it. They might own a gotchi. They might have owned some ghosts, but they haven't really gotten involved. And this is kind of our second breakout chance. So we want to make sure one that we're laying the foundation and making like a strong foundation for the game going forward, and also having like mechanics that are going to be fun for people to play because there's really no fun play to earn games at this point still. It's still very early in the space, so we want to create something that
right, and a lot of them are
smart.
just like staking games. It's just
Yeah,
like
like
or, like,
grind.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the new space games, I'm in that right now, but it's just a staking game. It's just like another like kind of rip off of I mean, they have different epochs and stuff that they'll have down the road, but right now it's just basically a rip off of Wolf games. But it's all on
Hmm.
Polygon, so you don't have to pay those high transaction fees. So a lot of people are flocking to it, but
Right.
it's still not a fun PvE game like an MMORPG where you do quests, hang out with your friends. Like, I mean, it's still not there yet, and a lot of this stuff isn't going to be fully there until we can do a lot of the stuff like physics generators and stuff on like ZK and like yeah. I mean, a lot of that technology, and it's still coming out, and I know that Polygon's rolling out some interesting stuff too with that. So, I mean, I think we're leading the way in the sense of like the dev, like on your side of the dev, like uh, stack that you guys have already built comparatively to everyone else that's just trying to we're coming out with this NFT, we're gonna have this P2E game, and then they realize, oh shit, it takes actually a lot longer
Hmm.
than they think to dev out something good out, like, and to like build a sustainable economy and community. And it's like everyone wants to do it, but like, can you do it is a real question.
Yeah. There's different levels of infra, right? There's like if you want to host 1v1 or even like 4v4 kind of battle, like not even a battle royale, but just like like a Dota level game. The infra is pretty like the existing infra is pretty mature for that. You wouldn't have to build out all the custom stuff that we are. But what we're trying to do is actually even if this weren't a blockchain game, it would still be quite ambitious because we're trying to do kind of what EVE Online did, but they have this like one massive mega server using Python,
Mm,
and it's just like one instance. But what we're trying to do is we want to have hundreds of servers, but and have it scale horizontally and have everyone feel like they're in the same room, even though they might be in different servers, but they're
right.
all in the same shared experience. And it turns out like that's actually pretty cutting edge infra. So we're not only innovating in blockchain and the integration of blockchain and kind of the Web 2 gaming, but we're actually pushing Web 2 gaming forward as well in a way.
Yeah, that's why I keep telling people is like, let alone all the innovations that Aviaji is doing with a lot of the tech, whether it's like DeFi staking like DeFi staked in your assets, or the ERC 115 standard of with wearables, or like they're gonna have a metaverse on a single server that pretty much has never been done before, like, and any game like ever. There's like that alone is forget all the crypto stuff. Just in the sense of the innovation of the game, like having a jet like a all massive MMORPG that you can just roam around and everyone around the world is playing at the same time. Like, I mean, Fortnite, 100 people to a server, right? I mean, you have
Yeah.
Decentraland. I think it's still what, but 30 people to a server. Like, you need that one server to make it feel full. You need to
Yeah.
make the experience the way it should be as in terms of a greater metaverse experience.
Yeah, and that's also why having like kind of cheap, and by cheap I mean like not expensive graphics is going to be kind of crucial because it's really hard to have 1,000 players in the same screen. The limitation is not actually the servers, it's the end user's computer or phone that actually is the limitation because there's so much data being sent back and forth. Their phone just can't handle it and it gets laggy. So actually
Right.
having like super simple pixel art is gonna actually enable us to have like a lot of these gotchis together, like thousands of gotchis and liquidators fighting battles simultaneously. And it'll be possible to play it on mobile as well.
That's going to be huge, especially with the Scana project that I'm thinking about, because 93% of the country is mobile accessible. So if it can be mobile accessible, like that
Mhm.
just makes it so much more scalable. Because we were like thinking like, oh, mainly just computers to begin with, but like, are you guys thinking about doing like making it mobile accessible like off the bat?
Yeah, the thing about mobile is that there's really no like there's a lot of work being done on Web3 mobile wallets, but even now you can it's like you can have MetaMask, right? But
Right. You can
playing
browse. But
you're basically playing in a browser and it's not the same experience as a mobile game.
right.
So there's still no wallet out there that is like truly non-custodial, but also being well that I know of that's like super safe and isn't actually like most of the browsers out the mobile browsers are really just it's like Safari reskinned for a Web3 wallet. It's not a
Yeah, yeah.
true Web3 like you would have to transfer your gotchis to this wallet to be able to play on mobile, well, which is fine, but it's like we're not quite there yet. So we're waiting a little bit longer for that infrastructure to develop a little bit more before we invest a lot in mobile. But
Yeah,
that is definitely a big direction to go in.
yeah, I think a big bottleneck is like the actual tech infrastructure. Like, I mean, we still have like phones are still centralized. I mean, they're still centralized by Apple or Google or Microsoft, like, or Amazon. Like, it's the infrastructure of the phone. Like, to have an application on there, like, oh, I'm going to put it on the App Store. Okay, like 40% of in-app
Yeah,
purchases go to Apple now. Like you can't have that on a decentralized game.
no,
And you can't have it on a decentralized phone. So I mean, just making it computers to begin with, like I think that's the easiest route. But like that, we need decentralized phones before we can have like fully decentralized games on phones. Like,
exactly. Yeah,
I mean, we can use Linux to play games on computer right now. I mean, most people use Microsoft, but like we have at least options for decentralization in terms of like infrastructure of like computers, but phones are just not there yet. And then let alone when we're talking about the greater AR, VR, XR metaverses, where well, I mean, the biggest one is Facebook's
yeah,
Quest or whatever. Like, so it's like you need a Facebook account to log into that. I'm just like, we can't be having centralized physical tech infrastructure if we're looking to try to have decentralized applications run on top of them. It's like you can't. That's inherently fundamentally broken, in my opinion.
yeah. We're gonna change gears here real quick. Jared's asking, can you tell us anything about the dungeons from the
Ooh, yeah.
tokenomics post? This will be 15% of the gameplay supply. So yeah, so 15% is the total allocation for gameplay, and this also includes the boosts that are added on that we've kind of already discussed in the tokenomics. So 5% of that will be allocated for boosts over, and I believe that's in the tokenomics post, over the lifetime of the game. I believe in the Citadel so far we've used about over the 10 acts, we're going to use about average of 8% of those boosts. It might even be lower than that over the 10 acts. Even I and for FUD, I know it's a lot lower than that. So that's we're giving ourselves 5% allocation for that to use on the boost, and those are not us. Those are in the smart contract distributed. The rest of the 10%, we are planning as Pixelcraft, like that's our gaming budget for creating these cool experiences, like the dungeons, like also just kind of bootstrapping the economy. Initially, there's going to be a lot of Alchemica available for people to run around and claim, and when the game begins, and just yeah, just general experiences. That's kind of what that gameplay allocation is for. So dungeons are going to play a big part of that, and there's going to definitely be a PvE aspect to the game, which is why even though it's initially going to start as a farming game and will continue to be a farming game like throughout, there's also going to be more than that. It's going to definitely evolve kind of into more of a PvE open world where you can go and fight monsters with your friends and earn Alchemica and then spend those Alchemica on things. So I can't give like a lot of specifics about dungeons yet, but they will be I can tell you they will be separate from the main map. Like it won't be something that you will see on the map. It'll be a place where you go and you enter the dungeon, probably with a party. You'll have a couple of gotchis. You could go in by yourself, or you could go in with a couple of friends and do the dungeon. It won't be a thing where you have like 1,000 gotchis all in running the same dungeon at the same time. There'll definitely be like a limit on it. But the overworld will not have, limits on how many gotchis can be in a screen together. And one other thing I can say is that we have all these different areas in the grid and later in the other acts. So obviously any good MMORPG is not going to have the same difficulty level across all those different areas, right? You need to have your newbie area, you need to have your really, really hard boss, advanced, like level 50 and above area. So all that will be part of the dungeon system that we're crafting. Yeah, guild raids and dungeons would be definitely a great use case for a guild. We might have bigger dungeons, smaller dungeons, different difficulty levels, bosses, all sorts of things like that.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. That's gonna be a lot of fun. Squadding up with the boys and trying to defeat the best dungeons today. Try to earn
Yeah.
some yield and for the day. So good day of hard work, right? The new way of work.
Pretty much.
So would those be like mini games that have a limited time that they're up, or how would that work?
So mini games, well, we've kind of stopped calling them mini games because they're actually what they are is really they're games, especially the stuff that some of the community members are working on. So they won't really be separate games. I mean, they're going to be basically these like interiors that you go into, and typical kind of a dungeon crawling. We They might have puzzles, they might have other different things that you don't really see as much in the overworld because it's kind of a more of a homogeneous experience. Whereas the dungeons, we can really get creative and create all sorts of crazy monsters and dungeons, experiences, and all sorts of variety within them.
Nice.
And there could be NFT loot that you could, you kill the boss, you pick up. It could be like an NFT from another project. It could be some rare NFT weapon, a potion, all sorts of things that you might get from monsters. One thing I think is probably worth starting a conversation off pretty soon is the introduction of like XP and kinship potions for various games, including the Gotchiverse. I think as part of the Aavegotchi protocol, we need a way for mini game or game developers to give out XP to their players without having to give it out directly in the way that we currently do it, which is like via the contract. So I envision this kind of idea of an XP potion budget that various mini game developers or game developers could apply for, and they could get a certain budget of potions each month that they could then give over to their end users. So those players would be able to earn XP by playing the game, and also kinship. Like my current position on kinship is I know we've a lot of the kinship that gachis are receiving right now is like it's not hand pet, right? It's not organic. So we want to get to a model where gachis are actually earning kinship the more that you play with it. And I think the introduction of like a new version of the kinship potion that is dropped randomly in the gachiverse, it'd be dropped randomly in other mini games that other developers create. It could be another way, but in the gachiverse, it's like you might kill a liquidator, and hey, it might drop a kinship potion, or it might drop an XP potion, and then you could take that and you could go level up your gachi on chain. So that's kind of a discussion. There's just so many discussions right now in the DAO. I just don't even want to bring it up because there's so much happening already. But at some point, we will want to have that discussion and see what kind of budget we should be giving out to these game developers, including the Gachiverse, Pixelcraft Studios, but also I know Gachi Miners is working on their game, and Liquidator Chase is working on their game. So we want to have the ability for these game developers to leverage the protocol and apply for like a budget from the DAO to be able to incentivize playing their games.
Yeah, one thing I see is like there needed to be like some kind of thing in a smart contract where the game developers can't just use all the potions that they're allocated for the game for themselves.
Right. I mean, that's the issue. Like they could, I guess, but no one's gonna play their game after that.
Right. But then they would get all their gachis and like super high kinship, resell them, and then just
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
So that
then
would be an issue.
they would get one round, and then we'd be like, "Well, you effed up. Like you screwed yourself because when you're blacklisted now for doing that. Basically, you're not going to get any more potions from the DAO. It'd be pretty.
Right.
We can start off fairly small.
Yeah,
and
make sure that initial allocation is small so we can see that they're legit.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I mean, maybe they're playing the long game, and they're like,
Yeah, true. I mean, you always got to think about the worst case scenario, bad
Yeah,
act. Like,
the problem is we really can't prevent that scenario because we can't prevent we can't prevent a gachi from drinking a bunch of potions. So Jared said it needs to be a multi-sig. So the potions would need to be given out within the game, and there would need to be a way to transfer them on chain to the players once they receive them. Kind of basically similar to how we are going to have our on-chain withdrawal system from the Gachiverse, where you as the player are earning alchemica within the game, and then you walk up to the deposit station or the withdrawal station and you withdraw your alchemica on chain. So it's very difficult to merge like the Web 2 and Web 3 worlds without breaking the chain with what we saw with Polygon. You can't do everything on chain yet. We don't have a fast enough chain to do that yet. One day when we have our Gachi chain, in the future we might be able to actually do that. So you wouldn't even have to withdraw. It would just happen automatically, basically, without you doing anything. But
I mean, that's the grail, right?
that's the holy grail for sure. And we can't be on a public chain for that,
Right.
unless there's suddenly Solana or one of these other chains that supposedly has super high TPS actually is able to stay up for longer than a month.
Right. You can't, like, in this space, you can't have a chain that goes down. Like,
Yeah.
okay, you're decentralized. Okay, I believe you.
Yeah.
You went down for 3 days. Oh, no problem. Come back when you're ready. What? No. The point of Bitcoin is that it's been running. The value of Bitcoin is that it's been running for 24/7, 365 for over 10 years without a double spend or a single fraud. Like, you can't have. If it went down for even 1 second, it'd be like, oh, this is bullshit. This is a sham. But I don't understand. Like, people don't understand. It's the ethos has been thrown out the window in the sense of greed for NFTs, and it's like, it's crazy.
Yeah. So currently we're pretty comfy, on Polygon, but
Yeah.
it is a public chain. When it gets busy, it's really out of our control. All we can really do is try to minimize the amount of load we have on chain, but at the same time, we really like being on chain, and so that's kind of the trade-off. Um,
For
Imani's
the
asking, yeah, go ahead.
for the games, I know for like I mean, were you gonna do something similar with like the arcade for the setting of the arcade DAO for distributing like raffle tickets and stuff? Would that be something that like the kinship and XP potions could run through instead of having that counterparty risk of just, oh, here's 100 potions, don't drink them all for your gotchis, but give them out to your players. It can be managed by like a multi-sig like task force like the arcade DAO to like distribute stuff for like quality games.
Yeah, like I totally imagine it being that way. The issue is once those potions are in the developer's hands, then at that point they can do whatever they want with them. So the
Right.
task force or the DAO gives the potions to the developer, and then the developer at that point they could say, "Hey, I'm just gonna drink all of them," and then screw you guys, like you messed up. You're never gonna get any more
Do
potions
they
from.
have to give it to the devs, or can like the task force like
Mhm.
manage the actual giving it directly to the users?
Let's see. Well, there would have to be a way to transfer it from whatever multi-sig or group that's holding them to the player. So there might be a more creative solution.
Well, it could be like a wallet for the game. There could be like another wallet address for that game that distributes out depending on whatever the code is for that game of like, oh, you hit the jackpot, right? You get
Yeah.
a distribution. Instead of it being like, oh, this is you getting it directly from a dev's wallet. It's just like this is the game's wallet that has it's topped up with new kinship and uh, XP potions and raffle tickets from the arcade DAO. And that's more what they would be managing, like those pools for those individual games, than it just sending it to the dev wallet.
Yeah.
It's just a suggestion.
It's probably something that we wouldn't have to transfer like 1,000 potions at
Right.
once. It could be they could they once they ran out, they could apply for more or something.
Right.
They're definitely it's quite involved because you don't want to make the user wait like a day or 3 days or whatever for the multi-sig to sign off on stuff. So
Right. You
like
want to make sure that it's always topped up so that people are always earning. This can be the trick to making sure that that run system runs effectively.
but this is kind of the job of if we implement this kind of system, this would be one of the jobs of Arcade DAO, which would
Right. Yeah.
basically be allocating a budget of these incentive potions or food, whatever it is. And yeah, I mean, most likely, most devs are not going to do that. Like, if they spend all the time to make a game, they're probably not just going to rug their own game by drinking
Right.
all the potions. Yeah, Jared says maybe they can put up collateral. Yeah, maybe they put up some ghosts or something, and they would get slashed if they drank their own potion. Or we could prove that they basically played their own game and cheated to win the potion or something. They would slash. That's a good idea.
They just added a little like bug that like kind of like one of the old games though. If you like instead of going forward, if you walk backwards, like it actually that's the end game. Like
Oh, like the Ready Player Down
yeah,
movie.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No one thought of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Yeah, that's a good idea,
And,
Jared.
like, it's just like okay, they have full like they get full distribution of everything. It's like
So that's kind of on the radar. We're not ready to move on that yet, but
yeah,
I would expect that in the future, we have this very, very boring market right now. There's really literally no action on the bazaar for potions, but I think those potions are going to become kind of legacy. Like I wouldn't expect these potions to exist in only these potions exist forever. We're gonna need to add more potions and more ways for people to earn kinship and XP in all these mini games. that's really how we can become a protocol rather than just like NFT as a or a collectible and we have this metaverse. But no, actually we literally have we're powering all these different games, not just the Gotchiverse, but
Yeah, this
also
is a game engine that other things can be built on top of. It's like in
yep.
a way like Steam.
Yeah, exactly. Steam, but with gotchis.
Right.
And you can, you can kind of pay your players to play. If they don't want to spend their XP potion, they can sell it for someone who might want to buy it, their kinship potion. That's when it gets a little bit in the gray area of, should they be able to sell them or not? But I kind of like to err on the side of, yeah, everything's for sale.
Yeah. Flame said, was there a specific reason for choosing Phaser?
Yeah, because it's a very well, first of all, our game, we want it to be as uh, light as possible on the players like in on their device.
Right.
So JavaScript and Phaser are very light. Even the game engine the physics engine we're using is Matter.js. It's built pretty much for JavaScript games. It's we've gone in and stripped out all the stuff we didn't need, and basically what we have left is a super lightweight physics engine that works for our needs. And so we could have used something like Unity or Unreal, but it's kind of overkill, and I think it would place more of a burden on people's devices.
Yeah, you kind of have like a centralized counterparty risk with like Unreal Engine. Maybe not
Mhm.
so much with Unity, but still, it's still like a overkill. I think, especially for people just being able to run it like lightweight around the world, especially if you're trying to go mobile. I mean,
Yep.
mobile Unity stuff is not bad, but I always think that it's a little janky, like starting up and like loading up, and I always feel like a little awkward at
Mhm.
the end of it. This matter.js looks really interesting.
Yeah, we it was kind of one of the reasons that stress test one was so laggy was actually we discovered it was Matter.js just had a bunch of stuff that we didn't need. It was all built in. The guy who's working on it kind of just literally threw in the kitchen sink on this one. It's got everything you could possibly want in a physics engine,
Right.
which we need the majority of it. So our team stripped out a lot of the excess stuff and what I think pretty much at this point we've scaled it down to the bare minimum of our needs. But yeah, it's a there's a couple different physics engines, but I think Matter.js is probably one of the more popular ones for these kind of 2D phaser games.
Yeah, it looks like there's a lot you can do with it. Yeah, I'm just getting more into like the JavaScript stuff. We're developing a whole like Web3 app and like TypeScript and all of that. Looking into HTML, Phaser. I mean, honestly, like to be transparent, I mean, looking into a lot of your guys' code as like a guide for a lot of this stuff because I mean, you guys have gone through the right steps to do a lot of this stuff and have had it audited. So, like, if we can build stuff around in this ecosystem through on stuff that is audited and proven and like we can repeat for future projects
Hmm.
and and people were like, oh, this is from the Aavegotchi ecosystem, it's using a similar contract to what they already have audited. I have trusted in Aavegotchi, so I inherently have trust in the products that are being built on top of it that are using their SDK, that are using their audited smart contracts or like different standards that they've been using or whatever it might be. It's like there's a way on like the smart contract to see like where it looks like similar, and the ones that I think at the end of the day, if it's like, oh, this is most similar to the Aavegotchi smart contracts, I think it's going to have a lot more credibility to that than, oh, this is like some random smart contract that is brand new that no one has ever seen before. It's not like anything else. Like it might work, but it's also like you got to take it with a grain of salt because you have no idea, right?
Yeah.
Could have a backdoor that rugs everyone. You just have no
Yeah,
idea.
like with Gotchi Vault, well, not like the predecessor to Gotchi Vault, the Portal Wars contract that Beard had made, that eventually became also not even just for Portal Wars. It was like you could like uh,
The wearable wars.
gamble, yeah, the gamble on the wearable wars. That was basically a fork of the raffle contract,
Right.
which is pretty battle tested at this point. That was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, it's funny
We
because devs are building like our community devs are building better projects than a lot of these projects main projects. It's
yeah.
just oh, this is a sleeping giant. I
Yeah.
can't say anything else. It's like this is going to be massive, and everyone around the world is going to know. And it's so fun being in this like small knit community where we're all
Yeah.
building this out together. And there's nothing more exciting to me in crypto right now, to be honest.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff happening, but I think we do definitely have one of the smartest, definitely the closest communities, and obviously friendliest communities in crypto. And it's just a matter of time as our kind of our landing page gets better, and we improve our documentation to help people come down the rabbit hole quicker. I think and we have more accessible points like the Legacy lending. I
Mm.
think at this point, the community, we've pretty much decided that we're happy with the number of NFTs that we have at this point. And so now it's really a matter of just creating the lending system and then seeing that true demand come in once people have something to use the gachi for in the game. That's when I think we'll really see an uptick. It's going to be slow at first, but then all at once.
Right.
It's gonna be scary. Like the dynamics of Discord and stuff will probably
Oh
change.
yeah. I mean, the main chat's gonna be like, how do I run? How do I play? It's gonna be, oh my god. That's where we're gonna have the divergent, like the smaller like guild chats and like community
Yeah,
chats that we've built. Like, I think that's very powerful that we've had all these like smaller community chats like around specific things, and we're actually using Discord like pretty effectively. Like, I have a whole folder of just like
mhm,
all kanji discords. It's just like ma- so it's so massive that it's like any other projects that I'm in, it's like, oh, I have a folder with like two things. They might have like their main thing in a DAO, or it's just like their main Discord. But there's so much to keep up with and so much going on in the Aavegotchi community all the time. Like, it can be hard sometimes to keep up with everything. But I mean, that's just a testament to great dev work and it being a great project, and just like there's just so much to talk about, so much to do, so much to try to build, so much to think about, like so much to get involved with. I mean, the
yeah,
opportunities are really endless when you think about it.
yeah. We're in a very interesting period where the products that we originally envisioned in the original white paper, like we did mention the metaverse, the Gachiverse, and now we're almost there, and almost ready to launch the first version of it. It's like, yes, we're actually making big progress on our original roadmap, and a lot of products have come between that, but the fact that we're able to launch that and the metaverse, this whole idea of the metaverse is like so big right now that it's the
It's
timing
very hot. It's a
is
very hot
impeccable.
topic. Like the next big thing is definitely GameFi.
Yep,
I
totally.
mean, just look at the gaming industry. Like across the board, people are getting fucked in the sense of not getting paid enough, not working ridiculous hours. I mean, these streamers for these esports teams, like, I mean, they stream hours and hours and hours a day and get paid jack shit for doing so. And when they could be earning inherently within an ecosystem and then playing, like, we really need to. I
Yeah,
think the importance is like, how do we create a really competitive game and attract a lot of these bigger established esports organizations like Face Clan, like 100 Thieves, like Optic Gaming, that want to build a team for competitive play within the Gotchiverse. And how is that going to be? Whether that's going to be, obviously it's the big, greater MMORPG, or it's like maybe there's tournaments in uh, the arena, or there's, I don't know, whatever it kind of looks like. The more that we can do like rank to earn, play to earn and have these kind of competitive modes where
Yeah.
we can see like who the higher players are, and then respectively, or gaming organizations can be like, well, I want to pull that person for my team and build out a stack of team to play against this so that we can earn more and win the championship, the Aavegotchi championship of whatever, or something, or I don't know, it could be anything. But the more that we can attract those organizations, I think that's really how we get to the mainstream, and people are already starting to get scooped up by like old indie games and stuff being getting scooped up and be by these Web3 companies that have a lot of money and want to turn their games into PDE games. So it's definitely, the trend line is heading that way, and once everyone's inherently earning within the ecosystem, and then the game like company is not fucking over their users in the sense of like taking all the money and siphoning all the money out of the ecosystem for themselves, like we create a thriving economy that can theoretically last for generations in terms of what this looks like. I mean, it really starts to feel like the beginning of a true like Ready Player One like type situation, where we just got to make sure. I mean, once you bring that, all the good and the bad and comes with it of humans, but how do we manage the community engagements to and the user engagements to enable people to learn, live, and prosper within this new ecosystem?
Totally. Yeah, it's beautiful. Anyone else want to come up and share your piece here? We got 94 friends listening. Anyone want to venture up onto the stage here? Did anyone see? Did anyone catch Golden Cross's presentation at ETH Denver? I know he was chatting with a couple other guys in GameFi. I didn't get to see it or see a video of it yet.
Recorded anywhere?
I don't know. Probably. I would assume there's.
I saw a picture from it, but I haven't seen the video yet.
Yeah. I hope it's not one of those things that if you weren't there, then you can never hear what they had to say. So I'm doing this like MES event that we did last year. That's all virtual, so that anyone can listen in. I know I had reached out to Golden Cross, Jesse, to see if you guys would be interested in being a keynote on April 8th. Either you or Jesse. I think you said that you were interested, but we're still getting some information and trying to lock that down. But we would like to set up like a meet and greet with you guys to participate in that event.
Sorry, I was. What event was that?
It's Michigan Entrepreneur Summit. You can look up MichiganEntrepreneurSummit.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't be able to. Is that a live event or is it in person?
It's a virtual event.
Okay, then maybe yeah. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I'll throw up like the website from. Yeah. Check it all out.
Cool.
Cool.
But yeah, we're getting StockX is coming back. Lisa McLaughlin's going to speak, and then there's another guy that we're having on a panel. And we're still trying to lock down one more keynote. But yeah, if you guys want to speak about the Gotchiverse and share everything that you guys been working on, I mean, I think that'd be a great opportunity, especially because it'll be right after you guys launch. So
that's a very like different crew.
Yeah.
It's probably like kind of TradFi.
Yeah,
like,
it's a lot of VCs, entrepreneur community, Michigan startup community, a lot of like younger college students. So it's definitely a different crowd that I don't think you guys have like tapped into yet. So
I see the guy from Beyond Meat is going to be there.
No, that was last year. Those are.
Oh, that was last year.
Years, yeah.
Cool, yeah. Hey guys, Gotchi Main, Gotchi Emperor, how you guys doing?
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
I'm just some you were saying earlier that Ghost is was kind of having these big spikes and dumps, but I mean it's been funny. We've been basically at $2 for how many months now? Like 3 months.
Well, I'm not
It
saying
went,
big. I'm just saying that they can be timed based around like bigger
yeah,
events.
for sure the GBM auction is the big one.
Yeah, that had a
So
huge spike for sure. But I mean, because a lot of people float in their cash for the GBM and then like, oh, either had got the land or were looking for just the yield and then we're selling back. Versus like, if you there was some way to like, oh, stake your gotchi to your land and you're making friends from that, then there's an incentive to hold your land. But there's no incentive or anything to do with your land right now other than the promise of like the future using it in the future gotchiverse. So it's kind of a lull period where there's no demand for land other than
yeah.
like setting up your empire for the future metaverse. So I think that's why we've seen a dip from almost like $3 down to $2.
Mhm. Yeah, well, it's also just the market in general. Everything's down, at least like seems like everything's at least 40-50% down from
Yeah,
all-time highs.
Ghost is held pretty stable
Pretty
relatively.
solid.
I'm comfy.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, it could be always can be better for sure.
I mean, yeah, you can't kick yourself over the things that you could have done, or there's always something that you like. Hindsight's always 20/20. All you can do is put your best foot forward today and keep pushing forward towards a better future.
Yeah, there's just not a lot of new people entering right now, so the money's just moving back and forth between the same people. And once we go back into another hype cycle, it'll be to the moon.
Hopefully with ETH Denver, more people jump in right from that.
That's what I
I
was
think
thinking when I saw like last week or whatever when ETH hit 3K again. I was like, "Oh, everybody's just getting happy for ETH Denver. They don't want to be depressed when they get there."
here's a working theory of mine is that I mean, with the evolution of like Wolf Games and a lot of the like spin-offs from that was on ETH mainnet, and a lot of people are still on ETH mainnet on OpenSea, and that they've been seeing like, oh, Polygon, and there's like those things are usually like a scam. They don't want to interact with it, but then Space Games just came out, and it's like a rip of that. Well, not a complete rip of Wolf Games, but it's a similar style of Wolf Games, but on Polygon, where you don't have to pay the high gas fees. So a lot of people are getting into that, and then they're going to be like, oh, what other PDE games are on Polygon where the gas is cheap? Because I'm already bridging over here for this. It's on OpenSea. It's climbing the ranks. It's doing well, and there's Aavegotchi, right? Oh, this is so much more in depth than Wolf Game or than Space Game or like than anything else on Polygon. This is actual MMORPG. You can actually play mini games and do dungeons and hang out with your friends and build stuff with SDKs on parcels or whatever else we want to like create. I mean, we've already built such a better ecosystem that once people start realizing that, I mean, Sandbox came over to Polygon. A lot of the other things are integrated into Polygon. People are going to start looking around for, well, what's a quality Polygon project, right? And I think their eyes are going to just fall on Aavegotchi. I think it's going to happen. I think as people stop making their money quick flipping, like random PFP 10K generative PFP projects that are all on IPFS surfer, they're going to be looking for, and too many people get screwed over or rugged in those situations, and they can't trust the system because it's oversaturated. They're going to be looking for those on-chain PDE games on Polygon, and that's when we're going to see a huge influx of new users, especially once lending goes live, and especially once the liquidators go live.
Yeah, our number of daily active users, I think, is going to go up a lot once lending is active. Because right now, it used to be fairly high, and I think it's still respectable, but a lot of it has been siphoned off by the vault and the petting farms,
Right.
because people are not interacting as much with it. But once we get gachi lending back, then it's literally like every person who rents a gachi is a unique wallet, and that really looks good on a lot of the metrics sites that people go to kind of evaluate the next big game. They
Yeah,
want to see games with lots of DAUs.
yeah, and you can rent out your gachi to like 3 or 4 people in a day. So that's three or
Yeah,
four new users, right? So
yeah.
that's going to be
Like
that makes it massively scalable.
we should be able to hit like if we can't hit 20-30,000 DAUs, there's probably we need to up the marketing is basically it. It's
Yeah, I told my friend Justin that working on the Ghana project is the 8-bit gamer 8-bit GG were saying that I don't think we're gonna have like 17K players day one, and I was like right after I listened to that Got You Brother podcast, I was like, how do we get 17,000 people from Ghana to be renting out Aavegotchis on a daily basis? I was like, that should be our goal, but it's like we got to start smaller. We're gonna start with like 3 hubs, but it's gonna be like eventually build out to like a warehouse with the computer infrastructure, because it's gonna be like these guys are mobile first, and they don't have the internet infrastructure, so they're gonna be us bringing that infrastructure. They're gonna be Web3 natives. It's going to be very interesting to see like how Africa uses this technology to build out their infrastructures, because they're just getting the internet, and they're getting arguably the best part of it.
Yeah, that's great. Like just ignore all the Web 2 crap. Just go directly to the revolution. One thing to mention, I don't think we've mentioned this before, so a little bit of alpha here, but when the first version of the Gotchiverse goes live, if you look back at chapter 1, we actually were not planning to have Gachi lending live for that release, and the reason is because we're still, we've been able to do a couple stress tests and they've been pretty good, but the fact, like if we try to support 5,000, 10,000 gachis simultaneously, our engineers are still like, you guys, we can't do that yet. We're not ready yet for that, and especially in such a small space. So we are going to be having kind of a lobby where we're going to allow a certain amount of gachis in at any time, probably starting with 1,000 and going up as we get more confident that we can handle the load. We will up that to more, but we'll have a lobby, and there'll just be a queue that you'll essentially you'll be waiting. If there's more than the number of people waiting to play, you'll just be in a queue, and inactive players will get automatically kicked out like after a certain period of time. So that's the only downside, that if we do get a ton of new players on day one because of Gachi lending and there's a ton of activity, we were not anticipating launching Gachi lending before the second release, because by that time
is that, so I can relay that to my team of like when we need to get the infrastructure ready to have people ready to rent out gachis.
Like the main release we are planning for the end of March, end of March to early April is kind of when we're really pushing to get to that deadline. Because there are scaling issues that we're working through, and supporting the entire Citadel with.
Are you saying renting is going to be live then?
It's going to be live from we're basically ready with the smart contracts.
Yeah, I mean, Taproot has looked through like all of that and been impressed, but it's just like sitting there basically until there's something to do with the renting.
Yeah. So we're going to be pushing that fairly soon. The UI we're currently working on linking up the UI to the implementation. So once the UI and the smart contracts are done, people could start playing around with it. But yeah, there's nothing to really do with it until the game goes live. But so what I'm saying is Gachi lending will most likely be live before the first version, but we are going to have a queue, a lobby where you'll be able to hang out, you'll be able to chat with other people in the queue and just kind of chill while you're waiting for your spot. So hopefully we'll be able to get that
a mini game there for people to play while they wait?
We actually, well, we have kind of
Like
a little
a waiting room, you know how they have like a
Yeah,
pinball machine?
yeah. We'll have there'll be a little experience there for sure.
Nice.
So that's the only thing. Like that could be a downside that we might not be able to see the full impact. But like
Yeah.
we've been talking about a lot, and it's better to have 1,000 people in the queue and like have people waiting than to have 300 people and there's no wait, there's no line.
Right. Yeah.
So we opted to go
It's a good
with
problem to have if you're
yeah.
overbooked.
Exactly.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
so
I'm
that
looking forward to it. I think you guys are doing it the right way. I think a lot of the stress tests and a lot of the rolling out of it, of like getting the feedback of the community and for any like bugs or suggestions of like traits or how Alchemica should be distributed and the boost or whatever. Like just that constant feedback and using us as a sounding board is very powerful in the sense of creating a game that everyone feels like collectively they put in the effort to make, and they have like a sense of ownership and pride over building this thing collectively together.
Yeah, I
yeah,
think
and
the
it's beyond that too. It's not just a sounding board. Like you guys,
Yeah.
we're building this game together.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
Yeah, the gotcha community is really strong. It's really, earlier you were talking about people coming in, and they're going to come in because they're speculating, but they're going to stay because this community is really strong and friendly and supportive. And it is really cool to be involved in something this early and being a part of building it.
Yeah, there's something to be said about like being early and working on something early. Like, I mean, like there's people that just come when everything's ready. Like they have to see when everything's ready, but you got to be able to see where things are going and like have the potential, know where things that have potential and be able to invest in those things. Those are the people that make the most money because they're putting their time and effort towards things that may sound like crazy ideas that could never happen or that are like, oh yeah, you can't do that or whatever, but then you're early and you end up building it and it comes to fruition and then everyone's like, oh damn, like I could have thought of that.
yeah.
Just like, yeah, sure, but you didn't have the foresight to know that you should have thought about that a couple of years ago.
Do we have a friend here, Peter Bosco?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, friends. No, a quick question. I don't know if you already talked about it because I only arrived now. But do we have a date for rarity farming season 3? Did you already talk about it or?
Yeah, so the core prop passed, and we
Yeah,
are currently we're preparing the marketing kind of. It won't be a huge campaign, but there's some marketing that needs to be kind of prepared for that, and so I would expect we should be able to announce the date sometime next week.
Okay, so probably early March or something. It will be.
Yeah, I mean February is a short month, so yeah, I would expect it'll be probably early
in 2
March.
weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Luckily it's not a very time intensive thing to do. We just need to make sure that everything is ready.
Okay, awesome. And earlier you were talking about game launch. You said just April, right? Or which dates you mentioned?
The Gotchi
Yeah.
the first version we are looking to have live in March, and hopefully both versions in March. But if
Okay.
the second version is very ambitious. There's a lot.
Oh,
It's like
the first version is playable already, or
yeah, the
or
first
what?
version is not going to include the harvesting, like the installations. It's going to be mainly Gotchis running around, being able to pick up Alchemica and having that Alchemica on chain, so you'll be able to withdraw it to your wallet. And we're going to have some surprises that you'll be able to do with your Alchemica.
Okay, so land will not be implemented yet.
Yeah,
You're
not
saying.
yet.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, just you probably already said it, but I missed it then. I hope it's not a problem if I ask
No
again.
worries. There's so much
Awesome.
information
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thanks. So the reason we are doing the stress test and this version 1 in District 23 is because no one has bought any parcels in that area yet. So yeah, there'll be definitely some content, some fun things to do in the we're calling it CR1, the release one. But the main game with like all the installations and harvesting is gonna come a little bit later because we need to open up the entire Citadel, and it's huge, as you guys can imagine. It's quite a burden on the servers. So we really have to, we're going to take it step by step. And the big step we're actually taking here is getting Alchemica from the game into your wallet, from wallet to wallet. That's it's not a difficult feat, but it is a feat in itself, and it's very worth an entire release just centered on that.
Yeah, I mean that's arguably the hardest part and the key to this whole thing, right? It's like how do we get people to like actually get in the wallet and be able to earn and trade it out and do what they want with it in terms of building installations and using it within the ecosystem, building this greater economy.
Yeah.
Then make sure to, I mean, I would always eye on the side of like being more conservative on that, and I mean, yeah, I mean you need to go towards being more on chain, but like until like you can do your own like zk roll up chain, like I think what the solution that you guys have come up with so far is going to be sustainable.
Yeah, we're gonna be the first game where you can, well, that maybe not the first, but one of the first, at least, if not the first, where you can like it's a metaverse, but you can run around and pick up tokens, and
Right.
then you can get them like send them to your wallet.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's not completely on chain, so we're not going to ruin the network with it.
yeah. It's not going to be like a something. What is a power game given by DDoS?
Like that was cool, but yeah, they ruined it.
Yeah.
You can't do it that you can't do it that way.
I spent so much Matic. Oh my god, without even realizing it. It happens. We got the POAP from it.
Yeah.
I survived. That was a scary time. I was like, well, is Polygon going to go down? Like, but luckily it pulled through.
Yep. Well, I mean, gas was like what, 10,000 on some
Oh
days.
god, yeah.
But it was still cheaper than Ethereum. So
Right. Like we're complaining that we're spending like a couple more cents.
Yeah. The dollar.
People are spending $100 for a free mint on ETH. I'm just like,
That's when you really saw the paper hands. People are like, I'm not gonna spend $1 to pet my gotchi. Are you crazy?
Yeah, I felt like that week I was like talking people off the ledge. I'm like, it's 5 cents. Like, calm down. Like, they're like, it's up 1,000x.
It's like
Yeah.
one whole Matic to pet my gotchi. I can't do this. Like man, if we had launched this on Ethereum, you'd be paying $50 to pet your gotchi.
Right? Yeah, this would only be a well game if it was on just on ETH. To be able, because you'd have to pay that much every single day for those 2 kinship points. Those kinship would be valued at such a high price point.
Yeah. Yeah, Brill says gas price wasn't the issue. The main issue was not just gas, but also just it was unreliable. You'd place a transaction at like 5,000 gas, and then Polygon would be like, hey, actually it's 8,000 now. And just like, yeah. That is the worst part. The fact that the variation was so high.
Does anyone know
And
what's going on right now? I don't know if anyone else is having any issues, but I've been having some like issues with like transactions of getting stuff like in out of Aave or like just
There
like
was
trying to
something
put
going
stuff.
on yesterday, but it seems to be back to normal now.
Yeah, it was mainly yesterday I was talking about. So
Yeah.
you know what that was?
I'm not sure. I couldn't get an answer from anybody. I kept asking around, but I didn't hear what happened.
Mm, maybe Webb knows. Cool cats, the cool game.
How's Milk
Probably.
doing?
Yeah, of course he knows. Well, why don't you pop up here? What are you doing?
Come on, Web. Milk's at 6 cents, down from what was it when it launched, like 40 cents? I really hope that I was looking at the tokenomics of that. I was like, these guys are nuts because they were what giving away, was it 25 million milk every day or something?
Damn, that's a fat distribution. They're gonna oversupply their market real quick with that. Do they
Yeah, I
have
don't
any
know why they
burn
did it
feature?
like that. Any what?
Is there any like burn? Like, does the tokens burn from interacting or using? Like, how is it, or is it just strictly inflationary? I just haven't looked into tokenomics. I don't
You
know
can,
if
I
you guys.
think you can spend them to, yeah, like increase the level of your cat or something, and then do more quests so you earn more milk. But they started off too hot. Like that's a lot of. I mean, I can't say because we are going to be doing our economy is like that, but our level of inflation is going to be much more controlled than starting out with 25 million right at, and it's also uncapped
All right, we got a
supply.
slower. Yeah, we got a slower drip distribution of like you
Mhm.
actually have to channel. You actually have to mine it out of your parcels. You actually have to go out and
Yeah.
collect it. Like, so all these like staking games. Like it's just like I mean, I think there's good ways to do the distribution with staking, but if you're just giving out like millions and millions or billions of tokens, it's just like yeah, there's a lot more tokens in circulation, but it's just like you definitely have no idea how to manage that many tokens within an ecosystem, and actually, let alone like make sure that it's not inflationary and the price like is sustainable. Like it's just too much to manage at one time when you could people take it to go LP or they're using it with the ecosystem or selling out or whatever else they're doing in the ecosystem. I mean, it's just a lot of moving factors that makes it hard to control.
Yeah, you got to give yourself kind of like if you're a startup and you have like a runway of this is your burn rate of how much cash you have and how much you're spending
Mm-hmm.
every month. It's like the same with tokenomics. If you have a roadmap and you know you have about you have you give yourself a good 6 months before the inflation of your economy is kind of gonna get to a point where it becomes harder and harder to rein it in.
Yeah,
You have 6 months to find more use cases for your
yeah,
token and find ways to burn it or use it or spend it. But for theirs, I think they started out really hot, and we'll see what happens, I guess. But it seems like it's just going to go to zero.
yeah. I mean, it might. I mean, they have the good community. I don't know about the community. I haven't like touched them at all. So it's like they might have a good community that might ends up pulling them out of Goblin Town. But I just yeah, when I see people distributing that many tokens off the rip, it's just like I always shy away from those projects personally because it's just too much for someone to manage. Like even like normal economy, when we're seeing how like normal governments are dealing with that much money, like it's just not that much money in distribution or like not money but just like the distribution of that many tokens is just not easy to manage and not easy to yeah, there's the graph. Oh god, it's down to one
What
cent.
is this, Lumi?
Lumi, what is this?
Oh gosh. Oh yeah, that's like
Creeps. Oh yeah.
oh god.
When is District 23 going to be auctioned?
Good question. Probably in
Did y'all catch
it
that?
might be
Got you, man, Junior.
yeah, hey.
Yeah, hey, what's good? Welcome to the hangout, buddy.
District 3 will probably be, well, it'll definitely be in either 3 or 4, but basically as we're auctioning off the Citadel. That's the District 23 is the one that we're currently viewing and playing in. So soon, yeah, it won't be, it'll be definitely in one of the upcoming sales. We're not gonna hold that until a year from now or something. Good question. Is your like kid playing to like have a gotchi empire?
Yeah, he knows he's inheriting an empire, and I got my nephews in it too. I got them some parcels, so they're going to be
Awesome. That's
yeah. It's going to be a family enterprise we're working on.
Nice. I got my dad to get some parcels too, so it's kind of like a same situation, but like flipped because I got my dad into it, and you're getting your family into it. It's cool. I mean, this brings a lot of families together. Toward it end, and you say that there were some people like older people who was like, oh, like I can get this, and that could be a great way to connect with my grandchildren, right?
yeah. Yep.
Felon gives his $1 million or a pretty much priceless asset to his grandchildren to play around in the Gotchiverse.
Take this beard of wisdom. Don't lose it.
Right, don't lose it. Oh well, it's all on chain though, so it's like it can be hard to lose, right? Unless there's some kind of risk, like a wolf game, space game type deal where your gotcha get completely stolen by a liquidator or something.
Well, I used to play, like, the first MMORPG I played was it was called The Realm Online. Literally, this was like pre-RuneScape, and I was like not The Realm Online. You can look it up.
I think I'm too young.
It was like a pretty cool MMORPG, and it had all the stuff you would want, quests and items, monsters, dungeons. And I was like 9 years old playing it, and I was pretty dumb, so someone was like, "Hey kid, if you let me log into your account, I'll give you all this gold." I was like, "Okay, that's
right,
pretty good." So
yeah,
they just
kids
they
like,
let my
oh,
account.
that's not a free 100 ghost, kid. That's a free. You lose all your assets.
So that's the equivalent of that. Is like, hey, give me your seed phrase. I'll give you some gold.
Right. Definitely gotta be careful with that. That's where you gotta like set up a wallet where you're like lending it to them with like parent controls.
Yeah.
Like this is the safe wallet where you can play with the gotchi, but you can't transfer it out. You can't. No one knows the seed phrase. You can't do anything. You
could literally lend your kid. Just lend your kid a gotchi. That you could actually use the gotchi lending specifically for that.
Yeah.
You could just set up like here's a year-long contract with my gotchi. Only this wallet can borrow it, and we're just gonna set this up for a year. So kid can't even transfer it. It would have to stay in that wallet.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
And in a way that can be like the parent control of like, say like like YouTube or television has like parent controls.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Like, yeah, go borrow my gotchi, son, for a month. See what you can do with it.
Yeah. Here's your weekly allowance, kid. go earn some alchemica. Learn the ways of hard work like we had to learn in RuneScape, My parents didn't understand that I was learning real life skills playing this game, but it's just like, whatever. I wasn't earning inherently within the ecosystem, but you can end up real world trading for actually like a lot of money, and people still do that. And like, yeah, I mean, they'd just be able to earn inherently without like having a real world trade, and where it's like earning is normalized within the ecosystem. Like, it's gonna be huge.
Yeah.
There's this one game, I forget the game. It was like their currency, in-game currency became so valuable that everyone was pulling liquidity out of the game, and they were trading with like rocks and sticks in the game for value. It was just like, oh, I forget what the name of that is. But like, I mean, this has been a thing of like people earning within these ecosystems, but real world trading where like the game studios are fucking over the users, but now the game studios like you guys, Pixelcraft, can be providing value back to the users through inherently earning in the ecosystem, owning your assets, owning your data, like building your own experiences, like making it all community owned and community decided through a DAO. Like it's revolutionizing a $100 billion plus industry with the most amount of users in the entire world. There's more gamers than there are people that watch the Super Bowl or watch sports. I mean, it's 4 billion gamers in the world or something like that, something ridiculous.
Everyone's gonna be a gamer, man. Yeah.
I mean, everyone's already a gamer,
Right.
especially they've been exacerbated during this whole time of COVID too. It's like, well, what
I
kind
haven't played
what
games
I
in
want?
years, and I'm getting back in specifically for this.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so it's gonna bring
it's
people.
all the nostalgia factor. A lot of the older people. I have a lot of money, but I want to enjoy my life and play. Right? You know, people are like, oh, I thought that I couldn't earn playing games of what I used to love when I was doing it as a kid, and now I can. Damn, I might as well put in like end up putting in 40 plus hours a week, not even knowing that I'm doing it, and making it a full-time job because I love playing games and I love the ecosystem. Like it just ends up being eating up a lot of time, like any kind of game ecosystem ends up doing. It's like now it's a kind of new way of work type situation, which is very interesting.
Yeah, that's why I like the graphics for Aavegotchi. It brings me back to my Super Nintendo days, you know?
Yeah. Game Boy game days for me, or GameCube. I'm young. My
Yeah, I
dad
think
has like the first Xbox or the first PS1.
I have a lot of old systems, but the last like new system I bought was probably the Wii. I love that thing too, but I have not played a new game basically since then.
I think the last one I got was like an Xbox One, but like I like grew up a PC gamer anyway, so
Yeah, me too. I
playing,
played a lot
playing
of.
RuneScape, playing Combat Arms FPS games, and like some World of Warcraft. There's some other like games on the computer, but I never really got into the console games. But I know that is very popular. One question I want to ask you, Dan, is like, have you thought about making it like cross platforms that people could play with the console controller?
Yeah, I mean, I've no idea how we would accomplish that, but there's probably a way. There's probably like a widget or something. Or like, don't you have like you can like if you're on your Xbox, don't they have like a browser where you could log into or something?
Yeah, I think so.
But like then there's like the Web3 part where that's where it gets complicated. I don't know, do they support
I'm not sure. Probably not, since they're a centralized
It'd probably
ecosystem.
be easier to get your controller working on the computer than the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I was saying at least like set it up so that like someone could hook up a gaming controller to their computer, which a lot of people do for like say like Fortnite. They started using like gaming PCs to get the higher FPS, but still hook up a game controller so that they can have that functionality for playing in the game, because people are inherently used to that from like old console games and new console games. So if you guys can think about how to map the stuff like the WASD also to a game controller, that would set you guys up well for getting a lot of the real hardcore gamers from the console community.
Dude, I feel like they have like app stores you can get into a lot easier than making like a one that's, I don't know, distributed by them or licensed by them or whatever for their console.
Yeah, sometimes I just you gotta look at like what the percentage of like being on there is and what they're taking, or like what centralized things risk are you opening yourself up to when you're going through those systems. I don't know the answer to that, but that's what I would look into.
Weird. Yeah, they're probably, I mean, it's all possible, right?
Yeah, I mean theoretically anything's possible, right?
Hey guys, I'm gonna jump off here pretty soon, but one little announcement. We haven't made the actual announcement yet, but we're going to be starting a meme bounty program where we've tried a couple meme contests in the past, and they were pretty cool, but the quality of meme was not quite high enough, and so we're trying a new approach here. We're going to do a meme bounty program where basically submit your memes, and if we like it, we're going to retweet it or tweet it on the main account, let a lot of people see it. But if we don't like it, or if it's not quite up to the level that we're trying to get, it just won't, nothing will happen. But the idea is that we can get lots of cool memes coming in on different topics, different approaches, and if something fits, we'll basically snap it up and tweet it out, and you can put your Twitter handle like on a print, like on a overlay on the meme, so people know this is my account. But we'll give you a little bounty for it as well. So definitely meme to earn. So be looking out for that announcement when we drop that. Should be in the next couple days here. Meme to earn. And
Nice.
This is going to be like it'll be kind of a long-term thing. Like, I want this to be like a bounty program that lasts for a long time, not just like a week-long meme contest. This thing needs to have longevity.
I had that exact same idea with I was talking about, they were making a DApp for tokenizing time, and I was like, you guys should make it so that you can use it to generate memes. I feel like that's like a perfect crypto use case. That'd be perfect to turn, like, it'd be super easy to turn it into NFT. You don't have to think a lot about like the use case. It'd be easy to do, and it was Newt. It was what I was working. I went on a couple calls with them, but I don't know whatever happened with the project. But it was on chain that they were working on, like building something that people can implement on top of. It was like their whole thing is building like primitive like tools. They're an Aave like startup generator, I guess, something like that.
Oh, right. Yeah, I was like, that name sounds so familiar. Yeah, that's like incubated by Aave, right?
Yeah, OX Jim is like the lead behind it. I don't know. He's like a Aave dev, but I was just working on it with him a little bit. I was like, dude, this would be perfect. Or people are always trying to figure out how to get more memes, but like they don't know how to properly sort like the memes that they do get, and they also don't have like channels for rewarding the people that are putting in good quality work to like produce things that can be used regularly.
I like how they have this like roadmap, kind of like a board where you can look at what's going on, what's happening.
Yeah, literally what they're building. It's like they want to just be like 100% open source and just build basically Legos.
Burn shitty OpenSea Polygon NFTs. That's funny.
There's so many shitty Polygon OpenSea projects. I think they're migrating a bunch of the projects over, and if you don't migrate or something, I don't know, whatever this like notice is they had at the top, due to a planned upgrade, active Ethereum listings. Well, they should do Ethereum and Polygon listings, but created before February 18th will expire on February 25th at 2 p.m. Eastern. To keep your original date, please migrate them.
I have some interesting ideas actually about how to use those. If you might kind of be able to figure it out, but there's definitely some use cases for those.
For what?
For like crappy Polygon NFTs that have communities that are basically, they're just hollow husks, but they have like communities of like bag holders. You can do something fun. What if you could use those NFTs for something?
Staking.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to kind of do. That's what I'm trying to kind of do with this. I've done 3 so far. It's Gotchi versus memes. Just like meme NFTs. Just kind of like giving them out to my holder, like my followers. I don't know what that will turn into. I'm kind of doing it because IPFS is kind of a meme. OpenSea is kind of a meme. I mean, Gotchi versus memes. And then just kind of like something fun to do. And you bring up the meme to earn. I mean, that's just another incentive to keep going with that project. But it could turn into something interesting with a little community built around memes. But in terms of like little Polygon projects, like there's definitely like because it's cheaper, you could definitely do a lot more just like testing of things, and like you said, like build out like small communities around these that don't really do much but are interesting and could have some ramifications in the future if connected to like a greater project.
Yeah. There's a lot of trash out there.
Yeah.
But,
It's so hard to filter through it. It's like you can't figure anything out by going to Discord because it's so easy. There's so many tools to like figure out how to build a real Discord nowadays. So like it's just it's a mess. It's a mess because like there's just people. I mean, there's like obviously you can't go to a Discord and figure out like if the team's actually building anything. You have to like actually look on their repositories and stuff. And I mean, it just
really
depends on what interface they have.
Yeah.
Yeah, people. I mean, there's a reason why a lot of NFT projects are not doing so hot right now. When even Bitcoin are not looking beautiful.
I mean, that just shows like who's building for long-term sustainable value versus who's just building for a quick cash grab. Building for a quick cash grab, you're quickly going to Goblin Town, and if you're building actual value, the market will decide that.
That's what I think about Cool Cats. Like I'm sure their milk tokens probably like gonna do fine overall, but like it's definitely. I agree with Dan in that like they probably launched it not perfect, but at the end of the day, it's like impossible to launch something that people farm, and like there's a whole bunch of I'm not gonna say like shadiness in crypto, but like reality in crypto, and that if they know that their token's gonna moon like moons get made, not like not by coincidence a lot of times. So
right, yeah. I mean,
it might not be then like the bots just moon stuff and then they wreck everybody, you know.
Yeah. I mean, you might just have the juicy setup for someone to pump and dump you. You know, I mean,
yeah,
it's like that's why it's like when people say, "Oh, there's a right way to do a drop in the whitelist to get this, and then to do this drop." It's like, okay, you guys have obviously orchestrated a perfect way to pump and dump, get your money out, and make a quick flip, but that's like. It's just not how like you build a sustainable, long-lasting project. It's like, okay, there's like this typical way of how to do an NFT drop, and there's a formula to it to making it pop off. Because people are looking for that quick flip, and then people end up holding the bag, and it's just like a lot of people are lured in by the greed and just getting wrecked by the people that are smarter than them, trying to just lure them in with the either like false like volume of like millions of dollars or whatever it might be, to then steal your liquidity and run away with the money. It's a really, really fucked situation. There's not a lot of recourse that people can do. I mean, right now it's very early days, and a lot of people getting into the space. There's a lot of people that just don't know, that aren't educated. I think there's a huge value add into educating people on the forefront of how to be good Web3 stewards, to really know how to become information literate, how to do your research, how to do a deep dive into look into Etherscan, make sure it's legit volume, make sure there's actual holders, make sure the community is actually active, make sure the devs are actually doing work on the GitHub and submitting and pushing pushing stuff every day or whatever it might be. Like to actually do that education on the forefront, that's gonna be huge for enabling people to really utilize this technology for their everyday lives.
Quick question: will there be another raffle before the next land raffle now that it was delayed?
According, like, we're basically going by what the DAO is voting on here. It looks like I think there's no reason to have a wearables raffle at this point until post Gotchiverse, and then the DAO is also voting on like kind of a moratorium on new land until the full Bible is out, which I think makes sense too. So it seems like we're kind of we're pretty happy with the state of where the wearables are and the gotchis are, and everyone just kind of wants to see how the Gotchiverse launch is going to go.
Holding pattern.
So, it might be a low time for the tickets. So you guys got some good opportunities to pick up some cheap tickets over the next couple weeks here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. You never know. You never know how any product launch is going to go, right? And then also we have market forces that are participating in this one, so you know.
Yeah. Hopefully the bear market, like we're not in like next month, just everything just goes to crap and and Bitcoin goes to like 20,000. Hopefully everything can keep itself together. We're not entering like a deep bear market.
Yeah, it's hard to say because there's isn't there bank run in Canada? Not like bank run, but like their banks are having problems with like funding.
Yeah.
And simultaneously, you got like countries going to war over like dumb crap. Like I was looking into this Russia Ukraine stuff. Like it seems like Russia's just like mad because Ukraine's in NATO or like trying to get in NATO, and it's like the way that they set up NATO, it's like open door. So it's just a petty thing. Like why would they even? I don't know. It just seems dumb. It seems like they're stirring the pot.
Just a way to make money.
Yeah, pretty much. Aren't they all?
I mean, I think
Yeah.
there's a difference between just going out and trying to make money and actually building value and trying to create value. And like, it's because at the end of the day, we're all just money. All money is a representation of trading value. So it's like, I rather look for the value in certain things. And when everything becomes money in the crypto sphere, it's like, you got to really be, well, does that actually have value versus does it just have monetary like value at the end of the day? I think that's going to be the biggest like key to figuring out like what is actually going to be sustainable and be those 15 to 25 companies like so from like the .com bubble like that actually survived the great winter that's inevitably going to happen because people are not building value. They're just building to quick flip.
Yeah, I think GameFi is going to be a nice little. It's going to be its own little island of happiness. Even if the overall market goes to shit, people are going to be making money. They're going to be playing games and earning tokens. They're going to be fairly happy. So I think GameFi will kind of outperform everything in the next year.
Oh yeah, especially because there's just something to do, right? If in a down period, the hardest thing to do when there's nothing to do is to do nothing. It's like, well, let's just play some games, enjoy your time, right? Don't sell out. Like wait for it to moon. Like don't paper hands and like FOMO sell or whatever at the bottom. Like
you don't have to work at McDonald's now. You can go and play meta games all day.
Right, exactly. You don't have to go 4 hours to pick tomatoes for $1 a day. That's people in Ghana. That's like the average that they make. It's like really, really, really messed up. It's like the quality of life could be improved so much just by a good PDE game that enables people to make more than $1 a day.
Yeah,
the impact of that
circulating in their economy instead of like rich ones that are good at keeping the currencies flowing in their direction with guns and oil and drugs.
Right.
How do you guys convert the Alchemica? Like, if they sell their Alchemica for local fiat, do they even have a way to do that? Is that you guys going to help facilitate that or something?
Yeah. So what I'm kind of thinking about is that we might either they'll have their MetaMask wallet and they'll just have the Alchemica and they could just trade Alchemica for value in Ghana, or
that'd be cool.
Yeah, or we could have an option where they see how much they get and then they could convert it back to us and they could get just like pay them out straight cash, and then we collect the Alchemica at the end of the day. But
yeah,
that would be. Well, there's certain logistics that we're still figuring out on that, and we're focusing more on like the tech the hub physical infrastructure. We already have one hub set up with I think 20 computers, and then figuring out like 2 other hubs, trying to do I think he was saying 60 computers so that we can rent out 12 hours a day from Monday through Friday and 16 hours on Saturday. And I don't know exactly whatever capacity that looks like for the amount of people coming in and out. Whether we can get like, okay, it's like 60 straight people for all those hours, or looks more like 120 or like 340 or something like that. I don't know, or like whatever it is.
Yeah, maybe you got these people like taking all this opportunity and they're like, I don't want to give up this computer. You got like 20. How many computers are in there? 20. Maybe you got 20.
Right, well,
20 people.
It's going to be a physical hub, yeah, right, where people go in and they rent out the computer. So the longer that they're on there and they're working, like, that idea is to lock up those computers, and then we'll create a bigger warehouses with bigger infrastructure. And we're talking about like sourcing. I mean, this is a big business in itself too, about sourcing like computer parts from like America to then like rebuild computers to send over to Ghana, because one thing that they just had to do was spend like $500K to buy Chinese computers for their education system, when we could probably be getting them computers, and we already got like free Wi-Fi from a NGO and I forget where, but like we could be getting them cheaper like computers and better computers from America potentially. I mean, that's rebuilding and like sending computers to Africa. It could be a huge business in itself, let alone the whole PDE scalable solution of these hubs. And like it could turn into like sustainable living too. Like it could be housing, could be like sustainable like gardens, and like could be everything. And then you just go in, play a little bit of like go into the Gotchiverse, play, make your money, and continue to build out a thriving ecosystem. That I don't think, like, the implications of this is massive, because it could scale beyond Ghana too. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always just about what people pick up and take hold of, right? The market's gonna do what the market wants.
Yep. I mean, all of this obviously wouldn't be possible without having a good PDE game to really build on, and like to actually see that this stuff is possible, you know, and like have faith in the system and in you guys. So it's I applaud you guys for everything that you guys have done, and I'm really looking forward to everything that you guys have planned for implementing in the future. And I'm definitely going to be here for the long run. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, definitely definitely get involved in the DAO. Everyone, check out the latest hot topics, and that's where a lot of the sparks are flying, as far as like us as Pixelcraft kind of designing the game, and then it's a collective brainstorm happening 24/7, figuring out like, could we have one of my favorite things like the weapon repair system, like things that you might think about. It might be a negative where you say, oh, I don't want to have to pay to upgrade my weapons, but then you actually think maybe there's a cool way we can do it where it's fun for the player and also helps strengthen the economy, because we're taking some of these funds out and like burning those alchemica. That's the only way to get around this this trap of what we see a lot of these games where they mint and mint and mint tokens, and the tokens become debased. So it's not saying it won't happen, but we can at least slow the pace down a lot by introducing these kind of things. The overall goal here is really to create as sustainable as an economy as we can, and as the players will allow. So lots of fun, lots of cool ideas, and I love this community. I love working on this with you guys every day, and get up and like let's go Gotchi gang.
Yes, let's go Gotchi gang. Let's go.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Get it. You guys have a good day. Peace.
Yeah, I'm gonna hop out too, guys.
I'm gonna pop off.
Everyone,
Thanks,
have a great day.
you guys. Great chatting with you, Cutter Dan.
Thanks,
Yep.
everybody. Have a great day.
See you.
Gotchi love.
Yes, sir. Gotchi gang. To the top. Let's go. Peace.